Hey, everyone. Troy Eckard here with Talk with the Texan, Money and Life. This is part of a series of helping the viewers and the audience that I talk to every day figure out how they might get through life a lot stronger, a lot smarter, and a lot happier. As we know, sometimes your financial stability creates a more pleasant environment in your life. Being rich doesn't make you happy. I got a lot of millionaires that are miserable. Being poor doesn't make you the king of the hill and some kind of a hero because you didn't go out and spend a lot of time making money. Maybe it's the combination of both. Maybe you need to have a great source of income, money in life, make a lot of money, do well, invest, work hard. But then that life element comes along and says, in my life, I have certain characteristics and value, and I have certain traits that allow me to do well at certain things. So what I want to talk to you about today is recreating yourself. Now, I can tell you the advantage point that I get, like I've told you in previous podcasts, is I've been involved in investments for 41 years. And probably the greatest advantage I've had since 1985 when I started my young career is the willingness and the ability and the desire to listen to successful entrepreneurs that I've known for 41 years. Thousands and thousands of individuals in all kinds of different occupations, all walks of life, all different ethnicities, all different countries, you name it. And what I've learned is there certain attributes and characteristics that some have that just really make them super successful. By the way, being a millionaire doesn't mean you're successful. There's 22 million millionaires in this country. And I'd say most of them are sub $7 million net worth. Well, that sounds like a lot of money. Well, it is, except $1 million in 1985 meant something. $1 million in 1999 meant, you're okay. You needed like 3 to 5. Today, truthfully, to be in that upper echelon, you need about $10 million net worth to be in that top group. And that number is rising daily. So what I'm getting at is, how do you recreate yourself? How do you decide where you're at in your journey in life? Are you someone who's looking at, hey, I've got a finish line. I've got a business. I'm going to sell out after 30 years. I got private equity bought me out. I made 5 or 10 million and I'm done. Now I'm going to go golf, go to the beach. I've got money in the bank. I don't have to worry about it. I can buy a new car every other year. Plenty of cash, country club. I'm good. Well, that's okay. You don't need to recreate yourself because you have defined the point of your satisfaction. You have met a finish line in a track race that says, I get the trophy. I'm not going to ever run that down. That's perfectly your choice. But see, I've been in a race running with the top. I've been running with people that are 80, 90 years old, and they're still doing deals and making money and enjoying their family and travel. They're doing all the things you want to do, but they don't have a termination date. They don't have a terminal date of their career, their life, their willingness to keep investing in building businesses and doing all the things that we normally did when we were younger. I'm probably in that latter case. I doubt I stop doing deals until I take my last breath. It's not about the money. I think that's the biggest difference when you say recreate yourself. In the beginning, we have a certain ideology of where we're going to be. We have a certain idea of what we're going to look like, our career, our job, our marriage, our kids, our grandkids, where we're going to live, what state, what mountains, ocean, farmland. And as it goes along and you're successful, you're one of the few that successfully get to that $1 million threshold in net worth. Well, now you're in a totally different group. Now you're in the top 1% of all Americans in terms of net worth and cash and assets. Congratulations. That's a tough group. That's 99% of people are not where you're at. And then you take from that slice of pie and you put it into a full pie. So this is the total income pie in the United States, and you're in that 1%. We take that 1% pie and say, now that represents 100%. In that 100% pie, you might be in the bottom 2% of that 100% millionaire pie. Again, it doesn't matter. You're not in a competition. Nobody's going to post their net worth on a badge that highlights as you walk around town. But the question is, even if you're retired, even if you got a certain net worth, even if you got to your finish line, have you ever thought about recreating yourself? Have you ever thought about why you would do it? See, for me, I'm having so much fun in my career, but man, I have this massive to-do list. And it's not to do, it's want to do list of things that I want to do before I run out of steam and brain power. I have several inventions that I'm working on, if I can find the time. I have a lot of books I'd like to write, which I think would help a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of investors that I need to write. Don't have the time. I have a lot of things I want to do with my grandkids. I've got 9 grandkids and 2 more on the way. I've got a lot of fishing, a lot of swimming pools, a lot of soccer games. I got a lot of things to do with my grandkids. You mix that all into one bag and you say, okay, where am I at today if I want to recreate myself? Now, this is the hard part. what does it mean to recreate yourself? So let's say you've been in a pattern, had a job, you're an accountant, an engineer, you're whatever job or career you had, and you're known to be a certain way. You dress the same way you dressed 30 years ago. Your haircut's the same way it is. You drive the same car. You live in the same house 20 years. You go, this is who I am. Have you ever stopped, took out a blank piece of paper, say, today is my first day? I kind of did a podcast a little bit like this a few months back or a few series back. And I said, you get a chance to say, I get to start over. But you're never going to start over unless you want to. It's kind of like an alcoholic. They're never going to stop drinking until they get so far down that they don't want anything else but to stop drinking. I think the same way is in changing yourself as a human being, as somebody who's been, whether you're a housewife, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a teacher, whatever role you're at in life, the only way for you to get better and to make decisions is to say, what if? And what if is a big 2 words to write on a blank piece. What if? And then start writing. What if I didn't have a marriage? What if I didn't have kids? What if I didn't have a job? What if I didn't have a mortgage? What if I didn't have a car? What if money was not an object? It's not like you're going to go divorce your husband or spouse. It's not like you're going to get rid of your kids, but it's what if you didn't have all that became the anchors in your life? And some people are going to say, oh, I'm happy with my life. I wouldn't change a thing. I don't believe you. Everyone would change some elements of their prior life or the previous you before your recreation. I had this chance to recreate myself about a decade ago. And it was a difficult decision only because I didn't know what it looked like on the other side of that recreation. So I started with a simple template. I said, look, Talk with the Texan, money and life. It's not just money. It's the life I want to live and how I want to be while I improve my financial situation, while I build my wealth, while I build my economic background. So what does it look like to have more financial stability and strength in addition to changing what I've seen the last 20 or 30 years? That's a really, really tough 2 balls to juggle. So you don't have to juggle them all at one time. You don't have to stop today and show up tomorrow and divorce your wife and kick the kids out of the house and quit your job. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and you take that blank piece of paper and you say, what if? Start with the if that bothers you the most. Start with the if that makes you the most disappointed. Start with the if that's causing you the most pain. In my case, it was alcohol. I was tired of drinking. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like drinking. I didn't like thinking about it. I didn't like how I felt. I've been drinking since I was 10 years old. My dad was a wholesale liquor salesman. I used to sneak booze out to the 4th grade picnics. Thought I was the cool kid. Well, that turned into a guy who drank heavily by the time I was 14, 16 years old. And I could outdrink 20 of you. And after 40 years of drinking, I said, I don't even like the way it tastes. I don't like how I feel. I don't like how I'm as a person. So the first what if for me is, what if you stop drinking today and never drank another drop again? So I did. I'm not drinking ever again. I stopped 10 years ago. Done. Over. Not one more. Stopped. Cold turkey. See, I'm kind of an all-out, all-in kind of guy. There's a bar fight, I'm all in. There's a horse race, I'm all in. If you distrust me or I distrust you and you fail to have loyalty to what I'm doing and you show me disrespect or you're someone I don't trust, you're all out. Some people are extreme. I'm kind of extreme. It's in or out, not a middle road. That's just the way I do it. You don't have to. But in this recreation, this what if chart that you build for yourself is, what if I didn't drink? Well, man, I had subcategories as long as my leg. If I didn't drink, I'd have a third more of my time. If I didn't drink, I'd probably save $50,000, $100,000 a year and doing stupid stuff like opening bar tabs and drinking and hotels and staying extra nights. I wouldn't have all that. If I didn't drink, I'd have 30% more brain power. I could think about other things besides being hungover or being drunk at a bar or partying with my friends. If I didn't drink, I had A, B, C, D, E. I had all these things that I could do without drinking. And I thought, man, I just opened up a treasure chest of opportunity. I opened up a treasure chest of great things I could do in my life. Now, you might have your own what if. It may not be drinking or drugs or alcohol or pornography. It may not be anything that's even addictive. It may just be, what if I've been working for Toyota for 30 years and they treated me well and I got great stocks, I got great retirement. What if I don't want to do it anymore? I don't want to get to my 34th year, 5th year here. I don't want to work for Toyota after next month. I truly want to walk in and go, thank you so much for a great career. I'm going to resign and I'm going to go do painting or hiking or tour guide or buy and flip houses. I'm going to become a crypto expert. I'm going to become a stock trader. I'm going to become a horse trainer. I'm just going to go be a traveler for a year until I figure out what I want to be. See, your what if might be taking the bindings off of whatever's kept you restricted for the last 10, 20, 30 years. And I got to tell you, folks, I know this. I've had thousands of millionaire successful entrepreneurs. I got some right now going, yeah, I know I need to sell all those rent houses because it's a pain in the neck. Well, then why don't you sell them? Well, that's kind of what I've done for 30 years. You look miserable. Sell all of your 20, 30, 40 houses. Do it today. Stop thinking about it. See, what I know when I made my change, the amount of thought I had about drinking drove me insane. When I stopped, it was like my brain was full of open space and empowered me to look at all the other things I could do. After you get past the first what if, the next is what if and then. What if I did this, then what? That's the tough part. Because most people never sit down and think about the then. Well, what if I stop being married to a woman who's mean and hateful and doesn't love me? Well, then what are you going to do? So let's say you decide my marriage doesn't work. I don't like the person I'm with. I've been miserable for years. I'm not advocating divorce or anything like that. I'm just saying, what if that's the case? And you say, if I divorce her, then what? Well, then what? What does your life look like on your own? What does your life look like different part? What if you decide not to work for that big company anymore? You go, okay, what if I quit the company I'm with? Then what? Do you need a job? Do you need one today? Or could you give yourself 6 months off to go travel the world and look at a sunset and be on a mountain, look at a lake? I just got back last week from fishing in Montana on the Madison River. Oh my gosh. Put it on your bucket list. Unbelievable. I would have never done that had I not done my what if 10 years ago. Had I not stopped drinking, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. My what if would be, well, what if I take a couple of days off next week? Will that change what I'm doing? I'm talking 180-degree change in my life. So when you recreate yourself, it's a systematic process, but it's super easy. Don't overthink it. What if I just told people, I want to be out in the wilderness every week. I'm going to go hiking every weekend, whether you live in a city or outside. I want to hike. I just want fresh air. I don't want people. I don't want noise. I just want to go hiking. What if you want to start a brand new company? We say, you know what? I've been doing this for 30 years. I can do it better. I want to start a restaurant. I want to start a delivery service. I want to start an AI product. I want to start something online. You've been thinking about it. Now go do it. My what if opened up the door to thousands of more what ifs. My what if freed me from all the what ifs I had never even thought about. You think about Talk with the Texan, Money in Life, and you say, well, Troy, you spend a lot of time mostly on social aspects, not really the money part. Well, I'll be honest with you. I go to the bookstore and I see all these books that are supposed to be gurus on the shelf. I'm an expert at this and startups and how to be positive. Here's the 4 points to be a winner, and here's how you get out of stock. They're all full of crap. Honestly, I've got books and books, hundreds of books on my shelf. You read for chapter 1, chapter 4, chapter 10, they all say the same crap. And guess what? They don't even do it themselves. It's like the guys who tell you how to gamble in Vegas. If they were so smart gambling in Vegas, they wouldn't have written a book. They'd be gambling. They write a book because their system doesn't work. They lose their tail. It's all about luck. It's all about sequence. It's all about odds. Well, the same people who write these business books are telling you and I how to go run our life when they can't even run their own life. Track them down. Run down some of these authors to see who they really are. I mean, you got people out there like Tony Robbins wrote a book. Why Have You Walked Through Coals? He's been around forever. All he ever did was sell himself. I don't know what he's ever did in a business that justifies where he's at today. He's successful, got a lot of money, but he just sold himself. That is his business. What if you decided the thing that is close to your heart that you want to do? Maybe you're a great writer. Maybe you're great at graphics. Maybe you're a great painter. Maybe you're a great horse rider. Maybe you're a great trainer. Maybe you just want to be a travel agent and just go travel the world and see hotels and get other people and friends of yours to go through you and make money doing that. What if starts the whole trail of additional what ifs. I would have never seen all the what ifs the last 10 years had I not sat down and said, I'm going to change who I am forever, and I'm going to start with the first what if. When I did that, the additional what ifs fell into place. Now, I spend more time on the social aspects of Talk with the Texan, Money in Life. Because you know what? I find most financial planners to be complete frauds and failures. I find that 90% of most CPAs are terrible at their jobs. Terrible. I find 90%, if not higher, most lawyers are incompetent, lazy, overcharged, and I don't trust their opinion. It's not because I think I'm a know-it-all. I've been around them for 41 years. And I got to tell you, what I don't want to do is focus on the money component, because I bet you're smart enough to figure out a lot of stuff on your own. You make this much money, you want this much in savings, you got this much in bills, and now what do I do with the rest? That's kind of a choice. It's like going to a buffet. I like steak, you like fish. I like vegetables, you like soup. There's plenty of experts that'll give you investment advice. Here's what I tell you about money. I've seen a lot. I'm going to say probably 70% of my clients, my millionaires I've represented and worked with and talked to, not even that investment, talked to over the last 40 years, are miserable. They're not happy. They wear cheap clothes. They don't buy new cars. They're saving for kids who will never respect them or appreciate them. It's never enough. It's like, I made this percent return on that. I made this percent return on that. I own stocks, I own bonds, I own crypto. And it's like, are you happy? Yeah, I've been thinking about a lake house for 30 years. Well, why don't you buy one? You have enough money. Yeah, I should do that. Today? Yeah, I'll think about that. Tomorrow? Yeah, the lake house. I've wanted it for 30 years. You have plenty of money. Buy a lake house. I'll give that some thought. They never do. They never do. 70 to 75%, and I'm guessing, maybe higher, of the people I meet that are millionaires and successful. I'm talking about the guy who lives in the fancy neighborhood, drives the Ferrari, drives the Mercedes, has an airplane, goes to the country club. Miserable. Don't like their wife, don't like their kids, don't like their house, don't want to be there. They hate their job. They just go through the motions. They're puffing up like a big puffer fish saying, I'm a millionaire. Big deal. You don't impress me. What impresses me is someone who lives their life every day that's happy. They live their life totally satisfied. Here's where you want to be in life. Here's what my opinion is when you recreate yourself. When you get to a point, you need no one's opinion. You don't need anyone's advice, and you don't need anyone to direct you and tell you what to do. You have nobody that you have any expectations you have to fill. That is when you have arrived. You want to be the most successful, wealthy person that I know? It's when you've arrived and say, I have no one else I have to meet a standard for. I have chosen the direction of my life. I made the changes based on the what if. I'm doing what I want. I recognize the sunset, the sunrise. I recognize my friends. I recognize those who are not my friends. And I'm going through life and I'm accumulating another happy stick every single day. And my life is getting better and better because as I walk away from the past person I was into the new person I'm creating, the past gets further, further behind me and it's more and more blurred. And as you get further away, you recognize you've been free of the image you set up for yourself at the very beginning of your life. You thought you knew who you were. Today you can be all you want to be, but you got to recreate yourself today. Talk with the Texan Money Life, Troy W. Eckard. Thanks a lot.